Hey everyone, I'm Sky Class, and this is Cancun, Mexico. My girlfriend and I arrived here just a couple days ago, and this is what it's been like since we arrived. It actually was supposed to be thunderstorming this morning, but aside from being a bit cloudy, no thunderstorms. Just about 30 degrees Celsius, which I think is about 86 degrees Fahrenheit. Beautiful weather, cloudless sky, quite the difference from Edinburgh, which is where we came from. Had a lot of people actually ask me about getting here from Edinburgh, especially at this time, and I thought I'd give everyone the story. Basically, as a traveler, I'm always looking for another place to go, but that hasn't been possible for the past year with the lockdown in Scotland and the UK and actually most places of the world. So earlier this year, we started looking at where it would be possible for us to go, and I also had a reason that came up which necessitated me getting to the US. Now, we were looking at the Ukraine and then possibly Albania, but Albania turned out to be closed to UK citizens. And then we found Mexico. And specifically, we found that Mexico had no quarantine, no tests required. Basically, all we had to do was book the flights and show up. And here we are. For a few months, I had a job in Edinburgh. And because of the nature of the job, I wasn't planning to leave until the beginning of May. But I completed all my work at the job, and when they told me I was done at the end of March, it was actually great news because it meant that we could push up our travel dates. However, there was a bit of a question on whether or not we would be able to get down here. So I went through dozens of websites, called the airlines, did all the kind of research I could do, and it came down to we should be able to make it, but we weren't 100% sure. In the end, I just decided to book the tickets and make it go right. So I will say, when we departed Edinburgh from our flat apartment there, we were a bit unsure of things, but going to the airport was no problem. Nothing came up on the buses or the tram, and even at the airport, not one person stopped us, questioned us, or anything. Now, because I am a travel writer and blogger, I am here working. It's not just a vacation for me. So that was basically my story. But also, we were coming here as like a transition to go to the States because my girlfriend couldn't fly directly to the States since she isn't a US citizen. And essentially, we're here as like a transit for 2 weeks before we go to the States, which means then she doesn't have to quarantine when she gets there. But that didn't even come up at the airport. The only time we were actually asked for the tests was checking in for our flight to France. Now, we only actually needed the tests if we went into France, but because our flight was a transit through France, we had one flight from Edinburgh to Paris and then another flight from Paris to Cancun, we didn't actually need the tests. The tests were just to get into France. So after that hurdle, we checked in our bags, got on the plane, and the next challenge was arriving into France at about 7 p.m. on, I forget what day it was, 7 p.m. at night, and then we had a 20-hour layover in Charles de Gaulle Airport. Now, fun fact, that's the same airport that, if you've ever seen the movie The Terminal, that's where the guy spent several years living in the airport until everything was sorted out politically and he could return home. So we definitely weren't the first to do it. We certainly weren't spending years, but 20 hours is the longest I've ever spent in an airport. It was a lot of fun, though. We found a great place where we could stay and, slept the night. Unfortunately, all the chairs were taken. We were there a bit late. There's some really comfortable chairs. I think it's like the free transit zone or something. It's in, I think it's Gate L of Terminal 2E. You can find it on the websites about like sleeping in airports, but it was definitely comfortable. It was quiet. The lights weren't that bad. The announcements over the PA stopped around midnight, so we actually managed to get a really good night's sleep. And even like of the people who were there, they would just leave their baggage and go off for an hour at a time. I don't know where they went, maybe to go get food or something, because we were actually outside of security of the terminal. So if we wanted to go to where the restaurants were, we had to go through security, get food, and then come back out to where we were sleeping. So we did that at night, and then the next morning we just went in and stayed where the gates are until our plane arrived at 3 p.m. So our plane departed at 3 p.m., no problems there, and we arrived in Cancun at 7:30. And we actually saw the most incredible full moon. Technically, the full moon was the day before, but it was absolutely beautiful. And now we are at the beach, just getting caught up at work, and it's amazing. And they've now turned on the music at the resort, so hopefully that doesn't come in too loud over the video. The plane was okay. It was a very dated plane. It was a Boeing 777-300ER. Entertainment system was tiny with practically no movies. The food was okay. The seats were really cramped. I couldn't get my knees straight. But the flight staff was really friendly, and except for some drunk people on the plane causing a bit of a ruckus, not horribly so, but otherwise it was a pretty smooth flight. No screaming babies, none of the stuff that usually distract you from a comfortable flight. So yeah, so here we are, and it is absolutely beautiful here. I'll just show you a little bit of what the beach looks like. So this is the hotel zone. This is basically a line of, I think, like 80 hotels all along the beach here. You have the jet skis back there. You've got, I don't really know what it's called, but I guess it's like paragliders or parasailers. It's basically people riding with a parachute behind them, and they're holding onto a line from a speedboat going along the beach here. So a lot of activities. As you can hear, the music's starting up. There's little volleyball things going on. So, you know, there is restrictions here. All the hospitality is limited to 60% in the hotels, hostels, and restaurants. But things are, it's basically business as usual. You know, the beach is pretty crowded here. Our flight was packed. There were no empty seats on the flight. When you're walking around the city, you do have to wear a mask, and obviously if you go into any establishment, you're already wearing your mask. Here at the beach, almost no one's wearing their mask. Any place you go into, I think the only place that we don't get it is the convenience store, but everywhere else, the regular supermarkets, every restaurant, they take your temperature and give you hand cream. So a lot of things like preventative measures here, which is great, but it definitely does not feel like a quarantine or pandemic here in Cancun. It is just beautiful, hot weather, and tomorrow we move down to Puerto Morelos, which is the next village just south of here. Cancun has about 1 million people or something like that, and Puerto Morelos I think has like 8,000, so just a small seaside town, old fishing village, and we're going to be set up there for about a month, and I'll be getting some work done, and then I have no idea what our plans are, but I'll definitely be updating you with more videos on what Cancun is like, what Puerto Morelos is like, the food here, and anything else you'd like to see, just ask and I'll make a video. See you guys soon. And I'm back. Can you tell I haven't made many of these videos? I just wanted to say, if you'd like to see more videos and get notified, please subscribe to my channel, click that notification bell, and you can also like me on my other channels, Instagram, follow my blog on Sky Travels. Obviously, I'll be posting more posts there on what I'm doing here, what the travels were like, and all that stuff. It won't be just limited to YouTube, but I do also want to make these videos on YouTube because I feel like I could say just a lot more communicating directly to you rather than writing it down. I do know I talk a bit fast, so if you're listening to this in another language, I do apologize. I do try to talk as clearly and slowly as possible, but hey, when I'm excited, I just throw it out. And yeah, I know I do get a bit fast when I talk, so I do apologize for that. But hopefully you can follow along, and like I said, I'll see you soon in the next video. Ciao!